Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water first. My beautiful radio voice going, let's talk about this. The forearms are on point. All right. Had someone in the comments bring up, but Jason, a lot of the evidence-based people are saying that training to failure creates a lot more fatigue, and that's why they recommend you don't do it, because you can't do as much training volume. All right, here's going to be my problem with that argument. The problem with the argument is not that it doesn't create a little more fatigue. Of course it creates more fatigue, but it also creates more muscle growth. Okay? If our argument was that we are trying to avoid fatigue, then we should just not lift weights at all. Okay? If our goal is to minimize fatigue from weightlifting, we should just not even go to the gym. So the question I'm asking people is, why are they telling you to minimize set-to-set fatigue when sometimes more fatigue equals more growth? Because they're working from a different philosophy. Part of the philosophy they're working from is a lot of them are, quite frankly, lazy pussies. Have you seen many of these evidence-based guys train? There's no wonder they do 30 sets of muscle group. Their training is so low quality and low intensity, and they are scared of hard work, so therefore they try to make up for it with biohacks. All right, number one. Number two, then they're working from the idea that it's important to get huge amounts of volume. Okay? I am saying this from the perspective of our goal is to get huge amounts of hypertrophy. My presupposition, I can't even talk today. I'm just going to leave it at that. My presupposition here is that whatever training methods are going to get us jacked with the lowest rate of injuries and the best adherence over the long term is what we should be. That should be the goal. The goal should not be, well, we can do more volume if we don't train to failure. Whereas I'm looking at that saying, you have to do more volume if you don't get really close to failure or train to failure. Do you guys see the difference? They're looking at, oh, we get to, we can. And I'm like, no, you're forced to. You don't have a choice, or you're just not going to grow. I'm coming at this from the position of you won't need as many sets. And my point being 3 sets to failure versus 6 sets with 3 reps in reserve. Do you really think that 6 sets isn't going to create a ton of fatigue? Okay. Or let's say 0 reps in reserve. Let's say it's a back squat, right? Or a leg press. Something that's not particularly fun to get pinned on, so you're going to take it real close to failure. You can grind that last rep to where you go, I can't do another rep. I'm going to fail. Rack it, all right? 3 sets of that will stimulate an enormous amount of growth. And I don't care how many reps you're doing, 5 to 20 reps, anywhere in that 5 to 20 rep range. Granted, most of us do not want to do 20 reps on a squat or a leg press. It's too grueling. It's too exhausting. So it's probably, let's call it 5 to 12. All right? You do 3 sets of either one of those exercises. Do 3 sets of either one of those exercises to that bleeding edge like that, and then rack it in the 5 to 12 rep range through a full range of motion. You're going to stimulate a ton of leg growth. I would argue that even an extremely advanced lifter will grow from that. Now, you can do more stuff. I don't see any problem with 6 to 9 sets for quads, of really hard sets for quads in a workout, even only once a week. Perfectly fine. Do 2 or 3 different exercises. But compare that 3 sets to the fatigue from trying to do 6 sets. Well, I'm going to leave 3 reps in reserve. Are you going to grow more from it? I would argue the 3 sets with 0 reps in reserve gave you more actual stimulus than that 6 sets did. So did your 6 sets benefit you? And are people telling you that, oh, those 6 sets are not going to fatigue? You tell me 6 sets of squats or leg presses, even with 3 reps in reserve up in that 10 rep range, you're telling me that's not going to create an enormous amount of fatigue that you have to recover from? Plus the time commitment. How long are you resting to pull that off? Especially if you're not doing drop sets to stay that far from failure. What's your rest times look like? Let's assume you're resting 3+ minutes between sets. What I just had you do, you only took 2 breaks. The other, you're taking 5 breaks of those. You're adding another 15 minutes of rest time alone just to get the workout done. For what purpose? It's taking you double the time to get slightly less muscle growth. And they want to argue about the individual fatigue of the individual sets, but I'm like, look at your net fatigue. Are you telling me that's going to be easy to recover from? Telling me that's not going to create overuse? Why don't you just get in and train harder? What's the problem? It would be better use of your time, even for your clients. I mean, let's assume it produced equal results. I don't think that those numbers I just gave would. Let's assume it produced equal results, but you have to spend double the time doing it out of your week. What happens when you extrapolate this to every muscle group? Is this even practical? You are literally going to double the amount of gym time and training time for the exact same results. I suppose that's fine if you're a professional bodybuilder. What about people who have jobs? What about people who have lives? Because we're already talking about, training hard could take you 3 or 4 hours a week, even doing sets like that to failure. You could be in the gym 3 or 4 hours a week in some cases. You're going to take it to 6 to 8. You're going to add another 3 to 4 hours to your gym time. Might even force you to go to the gym more often than your commutes, your travel times. Again, unless you're a professional bodybuilder with a home gym, how is this an efficient use of your time? It's just not good. And that's if it produced equal results. So no, it's nonsense. This is nonsense that lazy people use to sell programs to other lazy people. Let me state that again, even among these evidence-based experts. And maybe they're not all lazy, some of them aren't. But their audience is. They just want to sell lazy training to lazy people. You can just spend twice as much time doing it and put in less effort. It'll be just as good. Except you spent double the time in there. And I'm not convinced you recover better. Okay. The reason people are running into a recovery problem is because they're trying to do too much total volume in one workout for too many muscle groups. And then they wonder why they can't recover from going to failure or really hard limit sets. Because you're trying to do too much. Why don't you just do enough to get really good muscle growth and then go home? There's your solution. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.